Welcome back, everybody. Today, I just wanted to talk about a few of the mistakes that I've seen a number of people kind of, I guess, encounter and kind of deal with now that they're getting towards the middle and maybe beginning of endgame when it comes to AFK Journey. Let's get into it. So first and foremost, if you aren't already familiar, I have been playing a free-to-play account and I've been progressing a little bit just to kind of put my money where my mouth is and kind of see how important some of the or how relevant some of the tips or tricks that I've been doing for myself have been. And for me personally, one of the first things I want to talk about is that although I've already made a couple videos on it, the wish list for whatever reason still ends up being a bit of an issue that a lot of players don't quite fixate on, or it's not something that people focus hard enough on. And again, to be clear, when it comes to hero wishlist, not only is getting the wishlist itself kind of important, something that I've also seen a lot of people not realize is that when you make a change, if you back out of the change or whatever, or if you don't take into consideration like what you're pressing, you have to like actually press the save button or else the wishlist doesn't save whatsoever. So if I just for whatever reason want to change it to Lucius and then I like click away, it doesn't actually save. Now, normally, as you can see there, if I made this change here, or, you know, if I wanted to make this change and I clicked specifically the back button, it says you have unsaved changes, save them right now. However, if for whatever reason you just change but click away and you think that you have this change but you haven't clicked saved and you back out entirely, it doesn't give you that dialogue and you haven't changed your hero wish list. This, for me, is actually one of the reasons why on specifically my free-to-play account, I have a couple characters that I didn't intend to have dupes for, but this is obviously going to stunt your progress a little bit, especially if you don't catch it early on. The other thing that I kind of want to address when it comes to picking or involving summoning, and of course I don't have access to this quite yet on my free-to-play account, is not picking wisely when it comes to the Stargazer. Now, of course, if you aren't familiar with the Stargazer station, it's something that you unlock after you've pulled 400 total summons across any specific or between any, you know, pulling banner, any rate up banner to that nature. And so, although there are definitely a couple opportunities or choices that you can juggle and you can kind of argue for or against when it comes to the Celestials, the one that very much stands out compared to or relative to everyone else is this character named Raynor. Now, the thing about this character is that, of course, if you're just playing for husbando, for waifu, whatever, if you just want to play Scarlita, who looks honestly really cool, or if you want to play for someone like, you know, Dianel, who looks really cool as well, feel free to. And personally, I actually have a copy of Burial because I thought the Burial was really cool. But in terms of actual raw value, and assuming that you do want to play a bit more efficiently, you will be very, very, very happy and pleased when you see how much value you actually get from Raynor. Now, Raynor by himself and earlier on is not super impactful, super crazy, especially because at base, what he does is, again, he can kind of swap positions on occasion. He does a little bit of damage. He does a little bit of healing. But once you have things like the reduction of the enemy's damage, or you have things like the increased damage dealt, you know, again, things of this nature where you start to really, I guess, turn things on up from like, you know, like a 5 or a 6 to a 10 in terms of, again, making the enemy take more damage, healing your supports, doing damage himself, in fact, once you get him to later kind of stages. Raynor kind of pairs really well alongside a lot of your DPS. This includes, and especially is synergistic with Odie, who you can either throw to the front of the boss and just have him next to your Shakir. And if you use someone like Raynor, Odie, and Shakir, this composition will ensure that Odie gets the damage increasing aura from Shakir. And that's just one of the several different ways that you can actually make him work. However, beyond that, if you just want to, again, increase the amount of damage that you do via, again, him having Mythic Plus, or decrease the amount of damage that specifically your target or your ally takes as well, Raynor at Mythic Plus is absolutely insane. I cannot stress enough how important it is if you want to play on the meta side to pick Raynor. However, of course, if you have other things in mind, if you have a little more focus on PvP or something, arguably you could see a little bit or see different kind of value from characters like Burial or even Scarlita. Scarlita has an execute built into her kit, which is kind of cool and provides a little bit of utility. And Burial also has like this kind of you can't touch me kind of aspect to his kit when it comes to PvP, but none of these, in my opinion, in terms of meta, actually outperform the value that you just get from picking Raynor. Now, moving aside from that, of course, picking one of these is not really something that a lot of early game players or even free-to-play players kind of have access to until a little bit later. However, something that I also want to make mention of, and it kind of ties into the whole wish list and what you get from wish list, is that if you're struggling with your AFK stages, or if you haven't been paying attention to your AFK stages, this is extremely, extremely important. Now, the first time that I addressed doing the AFK stages, this is for things like, again, increasing your total rate. However, beyond that, and I'm sure if you've even taken a look at the rewards yourself, you can just see how many different rewards, whether that's powder, it's gems, it's summon tickets, that you actually get from progressing through the AFK stages. Now, of course, if you want to just AFK the game, if you're playing games a little bit more casually, by all means, just log on once every day, get your, rewards, set yourself to go as auto as far, to go auto as far as you can, and then log off. However, if you're trying to progress, there is extreme high value from things like, again, receiving a level 100 random equipment, getting things like, your free summons that will give you more imprints, and then inevitably change or alter either your character's stats or their functionalities and gain new features, or you could just get gems. And all these things are essentially really important because, again, they all contribute to eventual or later rewards and your overall character strength and account wealth, if you want to phrase it like that. But in any case, all these things are very important, and if you are trying to progress through the story, there are also certain stages or certain aspects of the story that are locked behind having a certain level of AFK stage. So keep that in mind. Make sure to push for the AFK stage progression that you're actually suited to. Now, again, similar to that, and something that I've actually seen happen a little bit too often, or I've seen it pop up a bit more recently because there's a new event involving it. I've seen a lot of people that have actually been fixating a lot more on completing this, the honor duel, and fixating on PvP more so than they've been trying to fixate on doing things like the Arcane Labyrinth, the Legend Trial, or even their battle drills. Now, to be clear, I understand that if you are someone that just wants to do arena or honor duel and you don't really have any interest in the PvE of this game, then by all means, go ahead and do honor duel. Arena is not really going to be possible because it does include your, your actual in-game stats. But if you are just someone that really enjoys playing honor duel, you don't really have to care about the state of your account whatsoever. However, in terms of actual value, I'm sure you guys can tell already, you gain a number of free imprints or a lot of free resources, books, the fragments, and that's not even talking about, again, any additional equipments that you get from things within the PvE realm, including things like, again, the Dream Realm. Arena itself even has rewards, again, these victory rewards that you can arguably used for imprints, but there's no real reason, or there aren't a lot of ways for you to even use the arena currency if you don't have things like the battle drills, the Arcane Labyrinth, the Legend Trials, powder or experience, or any resources that you would get from the PvE to then utilize for your PvP. So it's kind of a cyclical, it's got a cyclical nature. Your PvP will funnel into your PvE, which funnels into your PvP, which is very valuable. But again, I've seen a lot of people, especially with the new event, fixate a little bit too hard on PvP. Personally, again, I think having a well-balanced account is super important. And I'm sure you guys have seen it yourselves. If you aren't able to progress because you're missing powder, there are a number of activities that you can do, especially in PvE, whether it's achievements or rewards or things like battle drills that'll literally just give you more powder to then progress. And that isn't even talking about, and this is kind of like a 1.5 of the 1.5 of this topic, the actual side quests that you have access to. Now, if you haven't taken a look at these as well, because you've forgotten and you kind of just saw that there was a wall and you couldn't clear anything, there's also a number of town quests and, again, story quests that you can include to, I guess, supplement your PvE or your PvP. But I've kind of mentioned this on occasion in my past videos. I just wanted to make this abundantly clear because a lot of people I've seen have become stuck or are unable to clear anything, and all they need is just a little bit more powder, a little bit more resource to upgrade their characters and clear stages. These are a bunch of different ways that you can actually, make use of the available resources in the game. Now, the technical final thing that I've seen a lot of people struggle with is actually prioritizing the exclusive equipments for characters. And while for me personally, I don't have actual access to the exclusive equipments right now, I can tell you right now that the characters that you will find the most value when it comes to, again, getting an exclusive equipment is, well, honestly, the characters that you have unlocked. Because I could tell you that, again, getting someone like a, I don't know, like an Iron's, exclusive equipment to +10 to +15 would be super important, and they are pretty good, to be clear. Like, getting his exclusive equipment is very impactful. However, if you don't even have him at Legendary or even Epic, or if you don't have him whatsoever, then what's the point of telling you this? Because it's kind of RNG based. So what I will say at a base is that no matter what you take into consideration among all the tips and tricks that I'm telling you right now, take into consideration or keep in mind that whatever I advise you is very much so dependent on what you have and what's on your account. Because even for me right now, I'm very much tempted to suggest that in terms of your first EX5 or your first exclusive equipment, I highly recommend that if you are able to get the exclusive equipment to level 5 for a character like Odie or Marley, you would see insane value. And if you are a little bit more focused, a little bit more fixated on PvP, Vala's exclusive equipment is also really good. But whether or not you have a mythic, a mythic plus Vala, if you have a mythic plus Odie, that's kind of up for debate. It's a little bit difficult, honestly, to get these characters to mythic plus. If I'm not mistaken, just through Dream Realm, even if you're kind of performing at average, Odie and the Dream Realm accessible characters you're only really able to get about 1 copy of them per day, maybe give or take a little bit or more or less. But if that's the case, then if you're trying to, let's say, try and get your Odie to Mythic Plus, even right here, I mean, you need, at what, minimum an additional 8 copies from the Legendary tier, and that gets you to Mythic, and then from Mythic to Mythic Plus, you need like another 12 or 16 copies. I believe it's 12, which makes it even more ridiculous, or 10, I think it's 10 actually. But the point is that you're going to need several copies of this. And again, if you are going to fixate on like your first kind of copy, or the things that you're going to, or the character that you're going to upgrade, or whose exclusive equipment you're going to upgrade, it's going to depend mostly on what characters you have available. Now, I would, again, preface that in terms of what's actually worthwhile, again, it depends on your composition. However, in terms of gaining more stats, if you are being given more damage, or if you are being given more survivability, especially on your tanks, assuming that you aren't trying to increase the exclusive equipment of someone that, gets one shot anyways, a character like Brutus, unless if he gains a new feature from it, it's not really worth it to invest in them. And not all exclusive equipments, to be clear, are made equal, because again, the different rewards or the different benefits that you get from upgrading certain characters' exclusive equipments, not just in terms of new functionality, but literally in terms of raw stats, will differ. So keep that in mind. But long story short, make sure to double check and see what is actually worthwhile when it comes to your exclusive equipments, or what's worth upgrading. Again, I don't think you could ever really go wrong in terms of upgrading Odie and Marley, just because they're so good in the Dream Realm. And then later on, again, if you if you have access to someone like Irons, upgrading Irons is also really nice. But those are the 3 characters that, in my opinion, you are likely going to be trying to get copies of anyways, and hopefully you get copies of them. And then you want to upgrade their exclusive equipment so that you gain more damage, or it can perform really well in Dream Realm, PvP, etc. And now finally, it's kind of like a final point, or mistake point 5 that I want to mention, which is that even with this video, which again, I understand is kind of counterintuitive, but whatever guide you end up following, guys, I do want to make preface, or I do kind of want to preface that although it is nice to be given guides, and people, I appreciate people that have been making guides for the for the game and kind of guiding people along, the issue with a lot of this content is that most of the time they are very, very subjective, or it is kind of content that needs a lot of context, which is annoying in terms of like being able to have a one-size-fit-all kind of answer. But it does mean that you have to be very careful when it comes to things that you upgrade. However, I will say that although you can make a few boo-boos here and there, it won't be the end of the world if, let's say, you upgrade someone like Smokey's exclusive equipment before upgrading someone like Odie's, and it was like a little bit of a hiccup. Fortunately for you guys, AFK Journey is not that punishing, and I'm kind of helpful, or I'm kind of happy that that is the case, but these were kind of issues or mistakes that I found recently, guys. I hope you guys are able to avoid them, or I hope you guys learned something from these. But for my free-to-play account, as you guys can see, I'm on stage 256, which again, I know is not the latest, but I've been pushing a lot on my main right now because I'm almost near floor 1,000, which is, I think, kind of cool. I kind of want to see what happens at 1,000. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I appreciate all you guys for watching and sticking around if you did. If you enjoyed today's content, make sure to like, comment, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe. Thank you again for watching. Again, if you guys aren't familiar, by the way, I've been doing a lot of content on Discord, on all my different socials. I've been streaming the game as well if you want to hang out and stuff like that. I also have something big coming up in a couple weeks, in about, I think it's like 11 or 13 days from the time of me recording this. Anyways, thanks again for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed again. I'll see you all next time. Good night.